In this video, I'm going to cover AMC stock. At the moment, it's looking good. I'm going to cover the resistance levels that it needs to pass, what levels it'll have issues on or with, and then what level does it need to pass to continue the massive run-up. And then I'm going to cover the support levels in terms of what levels can it rely on if it does go lower and hopefully bounce off of to go to the upside. And then I'm going to cover also the short positions. This is as of June 4th, 2021, it closed at $47.91. Pre-market's up around the $48 price point. And quick disclaimer before I continue, I'm not a financial advisor, not a professional. Everything I do share with you is just my opinion, it's not advice. So please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. So first, I'm going to start with the short positions, then I'm going to cover the upside, and then I'm going to cover the downside. So if you look at AMC stock statistics, and then go to short positions in terms of percentage, it's at roughly around 21% for floated shares and outstanding shares as of May 14th, 2021. I know this is outdated, but it has been increasing for the past two dates, or not two dates, but the past two updates. And also, given business news, they've stated that not hedge funds, but whoever is shorting the positions, people shorting positions or shorting the stock, have actually not given up, and it has not changed much. I believe they said it dropped down to 20%, which is still in extremely short territory. So as long as it's above 20%, it's considered extremely shorted, which is important because the reason why is as long as it's extremely shorted means if it does go up, at least whoever's shorting it, there's more likely at least some of them will cover. And if some of them covers, it creates a domino effect where if one covers, the price goes up, and then the other might be enticed to cover because they don't want to increase their risk overall as long as it keeps running up overall. And right now, so basically in terms of resistance level, so that's the short position stuff. In terms of the upward trend resistance that you need to pass, the first level you need to pass around the $51 price point. You can see horizontally here. So basically it had an upward trend support line right here. Unfortunately, it did break and broke through. Has a downward trend resistance line here that needs to be broken at one point as well. So that this to me is the most important, one of the most important levels that need to be broken on the upside. But first, you need to be concerned about this downward trend upward trend support line that it broke. So when it broke it, not only did it break, but it got not knocked down, but for example, if we go up to it and then get knocked down and then go to the downside, this just makes the upward trend support line that used to be support act as resistance even stronger. We saw it back here too as well. When it did break it, it got knocked down by it, but it wasn't a big deal. Bounced off the moving average, went up to the upside. But then when it did it right about here, it had technically nothing to bounce off of to go to the bounce off of support until here. But unfortunately, didn't do it and just went slanted and went down to the downside. But I digress. Essentially, you want to get back up to this upward trend support line. Essentially, want to pass this downward trend resistance line. But the first level is the horizontal resistance right here. So you can see went up to it, got knocked down. Went up to it, got knocked down right here as well. Here was just horrible because it had the support level act as resistance plus the horizontal resistance level. Plus this moving average right here. By the time we get to $51 price point, it's going to link up just at the right time. So $51 price point, give or take $51, $52 is going to be pretty hypothetically important in terms of short term to pass. I don't think it will cause that much issues, but I could see it easily causes a lot of issues. So visually how it's going to look like is, let's say it goes up to $52, $51, it's going to probably get knocked down and then continue on the downside. But hopefully it's not that dramatic at all. Hopefully. And then actually there is another chance too, though, even if it does get knocked down, hopefully it bounces off this upward moving average right here as support. So if it comes down, hopefully it bounces up to the upside off that moving average. And then even if it consolidates between these two levels for a while, hopefully it breaks off to the upside. So there's that. So first resistance around $51, $52 price point. The next level that we're going to have issues with is around pretty much the $61, $62 price point. Yeah, there's levels between the $51, $52 to $61, $62 price point, especially for example the clean number. So $60 alone is going to be pretty difficult to pass. So you'll see you'll be stuck at $59 for a little bit before you get to the 60. But essentially the main one is 62, or 61 to 62. So you can see horizontally right here where it got knocked down twice. So once, twice. And then the next level is around the $65, $66 price point. 65, 66 to me is more important than 61, 62. Especially if this is the 1 month chart. In terms of the 5-day chart and all stuff, it's more clear that the $65, $66 price point will cause issues. And I believe even by the time we get to it, so like for example, if you were to spike up right now to this downward trend resistance line, which got knocked down once here with the all-time high, and then knocked down here as of June 3rd, 2021. So this is June 2nd, June 3rd. The thing is, and by the way, I know this only has 2 touch points. Most of these are supposed to have 3 touch points, but the problem is this is a massive run up. This is the highest that the stock has ever been. So it's pretty difficult to have 3 touch points at the moment with the top. So that, like, because of that, I think this is still relevant nonetheless. So if it goes up to the next level it has to go up to, or if it goes up dramatically quickly. So if it goes up right now, the level you need to pass is around $64 price point if you were to spike up to it right off the bat. The only thing is though, there's just so much resistance, again, like I mentioned, 61, 62, $66 price point, where I can see it creates a false breakout. But if it does, if it breaks up to past essentially 70, if it goes past $73 price point, it's going to go crazy in my opinion, because you passed the all-time high of $72.62, which is right here, about this resistance right here. And if it passes it, and again, I think the algorithms will be triggered in terms of covering their short positions, and that would increase the run-up to go like even higher. So hopefully that does happen. But first, baby steps to recap, essentially $52, $51. Then it's around the $61, $62, $66 price point. But again, keep in mind the $64 price point with a downward trend resistance line, and then around the $73 price point for the upside. Now for the downside, we saw we had support around the $42 price point, give or take. You can see when it came down around 42 right here, and around here it did pretty well. Now I know this 42 isn't 42, I believe it's $37 actually, but because this is the 1 month chart, it just shows it more compressed. So I believe it was at 37. We can see a little bit right here on the 1 day chart. It's about, so yeah, 37, 38 overall. So you could rely on that as support. That's the first one, but this is the main one I wanted to cover. So if it goes crazy, you could hopefully rely on this moving average to bounce off of, which coincides with the 37 a little bit. It's around the $33, $34 price point. But if it does get crazy, the first level you could rely on is 28, but the main one, so this is what I'm anticipating. If it does go down crazy, it's around the $25 price point. You can see right here where a bunch of times it was just like either consolidating or bouncing off the $25 price point, give or take plus or minus a couple dollars. Will it go down that much? I don't think so, because like, okay, so if you look at the 5-year moving chart, I know it's pretty hard to see this as a reason, but it's not slowing down whatsoever, the MACD line. So let me explain. The MACD line, it indicates the movement if it's bearish or bullish. And in terms of the 5-year movement, right now it's moving in a bullish movement, which is optimistic. It's in the positive. If you look at the 1 year chart, it's still same thing. Now it did slow down a little bit, so you could potentially think that it's probably going to come down to not necessarily $25 price point, but maybe $37 price point at the time being, because it's not a massive curve down. Like it's curving, and you can see the bar got like lighter green, plus it went smaller. So that is an indication that maybe it's slowing down, and that's fair. In terms of 3-month chart, so 3-month chart, it's starting to like trying to curve up. So more of a reason why I think maybe 37 could be good support, and plus not even 37 in general. Like I mentioned, if you look at the moving average right here, you could probably rely on hopefully $34, $33 price point. It might go lower because it's not a guarantee it could bounce off it. Like you've seen right here, for example, it didn't bounce off it, but then right here it did bounce off it. So just to visually show, if it does come down, hopefully bounces off it to the upside. There's that. Now, there is support between these levels, by the way. There's support between all these levels, but like for example, some of them are $35 price point, $31 price point, $29 price point, but I think these would be the major ones where it would play more of a role. Now, if you look at the 1 month chart though, this is the reason why I don't think it's going down to $25 price point, but it's still possible though, is because right here, the MACD line for the 1 month chart crossed over to the positive and it's bullish. So there's a chance, I'm anticipating at least it tries to go up to these levels to break them, and if it does, then it will continue to the upside, and you obviously wouldn't have to worry about the $25 price point. So there's that. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, consider dropping a like. It does help with the channel, so thank you so much for that. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you like videos like this or other financial videos in general, or the stock videos I'm reposting, consider subscribing so be notified when I do upload those videos. Thanks again. Appreciate the awesome support, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.